I didn't want war. That's the funny part. I bought this off-grid patch of Texas land for peace, for quiet sunrises, clean air, and a place where nobody told me how high my grass could grow. 27 acres, paid in full, recorded with the county, marked with steel-capped corner posts, and absolutely not under any HOA jurisdiction. I should know. I read every legal line before I bought it. But the HOA, they didn't care. They were new, bold, and dumb. The houses across the creek went up 2 years ago, a planned community with white fences, pastel mailboxes, and cookie-cutter rules about flower height and fence paint. That wasn't my problem until they decided it was. It started with flyers, then emails, then drone photos of non-compliant structures on my land, meaning the shed I'd built with my own hands. I ignored them. That's the thing about bullies. You don't feed them. Then they showed up. I wasn't home that morning. I'd driven into town for feed, just 45 minutes down and back. My wife, Evelyn, had stayed behind. She wanted to pressure wash the front gate before the sun got brutal. That's when they came. 3 of them, matching polos with HOA enforcement, printed like they were official government. Clipboards, tape measures. One even had a body cam. They walked right through the open gate without knocking. Started pacing off our gravel drive like it was a crime scene. Evelyn stepped out onto the porch, soaking wet from the pressure washer, gloves still on. "Can I help you?" she asked. The lead guy didn't even look up. "This structure's in violation of HOA Exterior Improvement Code. We're recording this visit for documentation." Evelyn narrowed her eyes. "This isn't your jurisdiction. We're not under HOA." One of them chuckled. "Your parcel touches the neighborhood. Shared access means shared responsibility." That was a lie. Evelyn stepped down the stairs. "Sir, I'm asking you to leave private property. Now." The second guy, younger, jittery, took a step forward and shoved her. Hard. Evelyn stumbled back, caught herself on the rail. No bruises, but the message was clear: power play. They wanted compliance, and they thought she was just a ranch wife who'd back down. They didn't know who they were dealing with. That's when I pulled up. I saw the 3 of them from the road. One pacing, one filming, one standing too close to my wife. The truck door slammed behind me. I didn't yell, didn't run, just walked. The lead guy turned. "Sir, this is an HOA inspection. We'll be wrapping up soon." I stopped 3 feet from him. "Step away from my wife." I said. He smirked. "This is official business." I stepped forward once more, just enough for him to register the weight in my posture, the way my eyes didn't blink, the silence I perfected a long time ago. He paused. Evelyn said nothing, just moved beside me, calm and steady. I tilted my head. "You assaulted her on my land." "No proof," he said too fast. I smiled. "Wrong answer. There are 6 cameras on this property." I said, "For our recording now. 2 of audio. And one's got a damn good angle on that shove." That was the first time they looked nervous. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I just turned to Evelyn and said, "Call Sheriff Danner." She nodded. The men looked at each other. "You're making a mistake," one mumbled. I looked back at the shed, the driveway, the home I built, then back at them. "No, gentlemen," I said. "You did." They didn't leave. That's the part that still amazes me. 3 grown men caught trespassing, one of them caught on camera shoving my wife, and they still stood there, muttering to each other, checking their phones like HOA policies were going to save them from what was coming next. Evelyn handed me her phone. "Sheriff Danner's on his way," she said. "Good. Now let me explain something about Sheriff Danner. He and I don't fish together. We don't do barbecue Sundays. But he knows me, or more accurately, he knows what I used to do. I didn't move out here to be a somebody. I came here to disappear. After 2 decades in counterterrorism training, instructing teams most people don't even know exist, I figured I'd earn some silence. But silence doesn't mean weak. And being polite doesn't mean powerless. The HOA enforcers started pacing again. "You know," one said, "we're authorized to enforce regulations under civil agreement." I almost laughed. Instead, I unlocked the gate, walked to the barn, and came back with a folder, my favorite kind, labeled, laminated, notarized. Dropped it on the porch table with a thud. County property maps, I said. Recorded deed. Boundary surveys. Every letter you sent. Every response I gave. And the HOA charter that clearly states no jurisdiction beyond Phase 3 housing, which ends 400 feet that way. I pointed past the trees where their white fences began. They didn't even look. Instead, the young guy with the body cam took a bold step forward. Sir, if you continue obstructing an enforcement visit, we may escalate this to a legal complaint. I raised an eyebrow. You're already standing on a felony. He blinked. Trespassing, harassment, and battery. I continued. On camera. You want to push this? Go ahead. But I'd suggest standing down before you bury your HOA in lawsuits. That's when the black SUV rolled up. Sheriff Danner stepped out, sunglasses on, badge catching the sun. He walked slow, not because he was lazy, but because he didn't have to hurry. Morning, he said. Got a call. Heard there's been an incident. I nodded, caught it all on camera. He turned to Evelyn. Ma'am, are you all right? She nodded, just rattled. Danner looked at the clipboard crew. And you gentlemen? The lead guy stepped up. We're here on HOA business. These folks are non-compliant. Danner raised a hand. Stop. I know this property. I signed the original land plat myself when he bought it. Dead silence. Danner turned to me and said, loud enough for all three men to hear. You want to press charges? I paused. I looked at Evelyn, who shook her head slightly. Her hand rested lightly on mine, not holding me back, just reminding me who I am now. Not yet, I said, but I do want it documented, and I want them gone. Danner nodded. You heard the man. Off the property. Now. They hesitated, like they thought one more legal threat might save their dignity. Then they saw Danner unclip his pen and notepad. Reality hit. They left, quietly, quickly, without another word. As they walked back to their truck, I called after them. You came to enforce authority you never had. Next time you try that, make sure you're not standing on the wrong ground. They didn't look back. The next morning, I got to work. Not with threats. Not with fists. With paper, precision, and pressure. See, I didn't spend 20 years training counter-terror units without learning how to dismantle a network, even one wrapped in picket fences and HOA bylaws. First stop, county clerk's office. I filed a formal trespassing report, attaching a USB with the security footage. High definition, time-stamped, and complete with audio. The shove. The fake inspection. The refusal to leave. Then I filed a second report. Impersonation of authority. HOAs have limits. These men wore uniforms, called themselves enforcement, and acted under color of law, a major legal no-no in Texas. By noon, the sheriff's office had launched a civil inquiry. But I wasn't done. Next stop, HOA headquarters, a glorified rented suite behind a nail salon. I didn't walk in. I sent a certified letter, copied to the entire board, demanding a public retraction, apology, and proof of disciplinary action. And here's the twist. I also sent it to 3 local news outlets. Veteran family harassed by HOA enforcement on private property. It got attention. By day 3, a clip from my wife's body cam. Yes, she had one too. Habit from our past life. Was circulating online. You could hear the shove. You could hear her say clearly, this is private land. Comments exploded. But the real moment came that Friday. The HOA hosted its monthly board meeting on the community green. Open to residents. I went, not to speak, just to sit quietly on the bench near the gazebo, arms crossed, cowboy hat low. Evelyn beside me, calm as ever. No one approached us, until the sheriff's cruiser pulled up, and out stepped Deputy Larkin, followed by 2 plainclothes county attorneys. They didn't sit down. They walked right up to the podium where the HOA president was speaking, a woman named Joyce, the type who decorates her clipboard with rhinestones, and handed her a stack of papers. Cease and desist. Civil summons. Investigation notice. The mic was still on. Joyce's voice cracked. This isn't the time or place. Larkin leaned into the mic. Actually, ma'am, this is exactly the place. Your enforcement team trespass, used physical force, and impersonated civil authority. That's not HOA. That's a crime. Dead silence across the lawn. I didn't speak, didn't smile, but I watched every board member shift in their seat. Joyce tried to regain control. Well, perhaps we should review the rules privately. Too late. A man in the crowd stood up. You let them shove a woman on her own porch and called enforcement. You don't speak for us. Someone clapped. Then another. And just like that, the power flipped. Karen-style authority? Crushed. Clipboard politics? Exposed. HOA enforcers? Suspended pending investigation. By sunset, a handwritten note appeared on our gate. We deeply regret what happened. The board does not condone it. Please accept our apology. I didn't burn it. I framed it and hung it in the barn, right next to my discharge plaque. 2 months later, the land was quieter than ever, not because people stopped talking, but because the right people started listening. The HOA, it folded in on itself. 3 resignations followed the investigation. The lead enforcer, the one who shoved Evelyn, was charged with misdemeanor battery and impersonating a public official. His plea deal came with community service and a restraining order that included the words, "Shall not approach within 500 feet of the Hankins residence." The other 2 vanished from enforcement duty like ghosts. The board president, Joyce, tried to hang on, claimed it was all a misunderstanding. But with the lawsuit filed and that drone footage shared at every veteran forum from here to Amarillo, her authority crumbled like a stale biscuit. They tried to blame it on training gaps. They forgot I train people for a living. Meanwhile, the sheriff's office made it very clear. Our land is ours. Period. No community bylaws. No shared access loopholes. No clipboard cowboy can change that. But we didn't stop there. Evelyn and I filed a civil suit, just enough to sting, not destroy. The settlement covered legal fees and funded something better. A stone gate, tall, clean, iron-forged, set with a plate that reads, "Private property, protected by honor, not HOA." Above it, the American flag. Beneath it, a bronze trident plaque, honoring veterans and all who serve with quiet strength. We also added a new bench at the front fence line under the oak tree. Veterans are welcome to sit there. Locals, too, as long as they come with respect, not clipboards. And that HOA neighborhood? Well, they got a new board. The first rule they passed? No HOA enforcement shall cross private land, not under jurisdiction. You're welcome. And Evelyn, she still pressure washes the front gate every Friday. Only now, folks slow down when they drive past. They nod, some salute, and not a single one of them asks if she belongs here anymore, because they all remember what happened the last time someone tried.